Okay, this is lesson 3 of the probability and data unit. We're kind of going in a different direction now. The first 2 lessons were on probability, and the next 2 lessons are on data and statistics. And we're looking at measures of centrality today. So we're going to be looking at a set of data and seeing what kind of values we can measure using that data, or what values describe that data. Okay, so first one is the most common, it's the mean. It's also known as the average. And what you do to find the average is you add up all of the data points and then you divide by how many there are. So in our data set here, this is our example of our data set that we're going to use. We're going to add them all up: 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 11. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 data points. So we're going to divide by 7. And what we get when we do that is 5. So it's sort of like the central value, or sort of it's a measure of like the middle, the average. Okay, the median is just the middle value when you list all of the points in numerical order. So for us here, they are already listed in numerical order. So we're just going to find the middle number. Now, when you have an even number of values, you get the average of the 2 middle ones, but this one, there's an exact middle here. So it's also 5. The mode. The mode is the most common value. So you can have more than one mode if there's more than one value that occurs the most. So in this data set, both 2 and 5 occur most often. They occur twice, whereas all the other numbers only occur once. So you just list both of those. And finally, the range is just the difference between the highest and the lowest value. So 11 minus 2, for example, in this data set, so the range would be 9. I'm just boxing in my answers here. Okay, so we're going to practice finding the mean, median, mode, and range for different data sets today. Okay, so we're going to collect 6 student heights now and find, again, the mean, median, mode, and range. Because we don't have students in front of us, we're just going to make them up. So this is our data. So let's say we have 160 centimeters, 162 centimeters, 158 centimeters, 152 centimeters, 170 centimeters, and 170 centimeters. Okay, so the mean. So for the mean, I'm going to add them all up. So 160 plus 162 plus 158 plus 152 plus 170 plus 170, and we want to divide by 6 because there are 6 data points, and we get 162. Or sorry, 162. So that's our mean. Median, we want to list all of the data points in numerical order. So starting with the smallest, 152, then 158, then 160, then 162, then 170, then 170. And we're going to find the middle. Because there's an even number of data points here, there are 2 numbers that are right in the middle. So for the mean, oops, I wrote the wrong thing. I meant median. I think I said median, but I wrote mean. We go for the average between those 2 values. So the average of 160 and 162 is 161. So that's the median height. The mode is the one that occurs the most often. And for this data set, 170 occurs twice. So it would be 170. And then the range is the difference between the largest height, which is 170, and the smallest height, which is 152. And so for this data set, it would be 18 centimeters. Okay, so that's the mean, median, mode, and range when you have a list of data. Another way that you'll often observe data is in something called a frequency chart. When you have lots of data, instead of listing it out, sometimes we see it in a graph because it's more visual and it's easier for us to sort of analyze the data more quickly. So here we have some data about Lena's practicing of the piano, and we can see she practices 4 hours a few times, and then there's a couple weeks where she practices 3 hours, 2 hours, and then there's a couple weeks there where she doesn't practice at all. So first thing we're going to do here is just list out the data, because that'll help us find the median and the mode. So the data points are 0, 0, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks recorded here. Okay, so let's find the mean, median, mode, and range. You might want to pause the video here and see if you can do this yourself, or you can do it along with me. So for the mean, we're going to add up all the values. 0 plus 0 plus 2 plus, and you can save time by multiplying. 4 times 4, and we're dividing by 10 because there's 10 data points, and you get 2.7 hours per week. So on average, you could say a sentence like, on average, Lena practices the piano 2.7 hours per week. Okay, median is the middle of the data, so it's going to be these two values here right in the middle, and they happen to be the same number. So the median is 3 hours of practice. And the mode is the one that occurs most often, that's 4 hours. And the range is the largest number minus the smallest number, which is 4 hours. All right. So that, in the next lesson, we're going to talk about which of these measures of centrality is like the most useful number or the most descriptive that represents the data set in different situations. But for this lesson, all you want to be able to do is just calculate the mean, median, mode, and range for a data set.